trapped with no way out. In eastern Ukraine, thousands of civilians are cut off. Roads under fire, evacuation routes destroyed, drones watching every move. Food is running out, aid is barely reaching, and escape is almost impossible. This isn't just a battlefield, it's a humanitarian crisis, tightening by the day. Civilians remain trapped in some of the most contested areas of eastern and southern Ukraine, as fighting intensifies and access routes fall under constant threat. In the Donetsk region, the situation in Kostiantynivka has deteriorated sharply. Regional officials say around 2,500 residents are still inside the Kostiantynivka hromada, but reaching them has become nearly impossible. All access roads are now under sustained Russian attacks, leaving civilians effectively cut off. Vadim Filashkin, head of the Donetsk Oblast Military Administration, described the situation as the most difficult in the region, with even basic evacuation efforts severely restricted.
The situation in Kostiantynivka is the most difficult. Right now, there are still 2,500 people in the Kostiantynivka hromada, and it is almost impossible to reach them because all access roads are under the enemy's attacks.
Filashkin said that only Ukrainian forces are able to reach the area, delivering limited humanitarian aid, such as drinking water and medicines, and evacuating those willing to leave. Civilian authorities and police units are unable to enter safely, with movement heavily monitored by Russian drones.
And our defenders, only they can evacuate those people who want to leave the city of Kostiantynivka. But unfortunately, neither police units nor the authorities are able to enter Kostiantynivka.
Elsewhere, in the Russian-occupied city of Oleshky in the Kherson region, conditions are being described as a humanitarian catastrophe. Once home to over 24,000 people, only around 2,000 residents are believed to remain, including dozens of children. Access roads into the city have been mined, while constant drone surveillance and military activity have made both evacuation and aid delivery extremely dangerous. Residents say food supplies are dwindling and escape routes are almost non-existent. With roads dubbed the Road of Death due to repeated drone strikes and mine explosions, civilians in both regions remain caught between advancing front lines and collapsing access to basic survival. In a first for modern warfare, Ukraine says it has retaken territory from Russian forces using only unmanned systems, without deploying infantry on the ground. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian troops surrendered when confronted entirely by drones and ground robotic systems.
Everyone sees the historical range of our drones at a distance of 1,750 kilometers from our border. There will be more. This is not about records, but about justice, which will find evil anywhere in the world. And our January, February, March, April FPVs will prove it. The future is already on the battlefield, and it is created by Ukraine. These are our on-the-ground robotic complexes. For the first time in the history of this war, the enemy's position was taken exclusively by unmanned platforms, NRVs, and drones. The occupants surrendered.
Zelensky did not disclose the location of the operation, but confirmed that Ukrainian forces suffered no casualties. The development marks a significant evolution in Ukraine's use of unmanned ground vehicles, or UGVs, which are increasingly replacing soldiers in high-risk combat zones. According to Ukrainian data, ground robots have carried out over 22,000 frontline missions in just 3 months, handling logistics, evacuations, mine-laying, and direct assault roles. Ukraine's defense ministry reported that more than 9,000 such missions were conducted in March alone, a sharp rise from fewer than 3,000 in November. Zelensky framed the shift as a strategic and humanitarian breakthrough.
This operation was carried out without the participation of the infantry and without losses from our side. Ratel, Termit, Ardel, Rice, Zmei, Protector, Volya, and our other NRVs. In just 3 months, more than 22,000 missions have been carried out at the front. Life is saved. The robot went to the most dangerous zones instead of the war. This is about high-tech to protect the highest value of human life. Ukraine not only does not lag behind the changes, Ukraine is among the leaders in the development of safe technologies.
Military analysts say the shift toward unmanned warfare is accelerating rapidly. One Ukrainian advisor suggested up to 30% of infantry roles could already be replaced by ground robots, potentially rising to 80% in the future. Experts also warn that autonomy is the next frontier.
Upon receiving a command to patrol a specific area, they will independently search for targets and carry out strikes. Carrier platforms will deploy swarms of attacking FPVs or high-precision missiles. The battlefield will become entirely digitized, and engagement decisions will be made within milliseconds. Over time, drones and unmanned ground vehicles will replace soldiers on the battlefield. This is our goal because human life is the most valuable resource we have.
Russian forces have already begun adapting, targeting robotic supply routes with mines and drones, but Ukraine continues to expand deployment at scale. As unmanned systems move from support roles to frontline combat, Ukraine's latest operations signals a turning point where wars may increasingly be fought and won not by soldiers on the ground, but by machines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has warned that the Kremlin may be preparing the Russian public for major new war measures, including deeper mobilization in Moscow and St. Petersburg as authorities tighten restrictions on the Telegram messaging platform. According to Zelensky, the Kremlin's clampdown on Telegram, a key platform for both pro-war bloggers and independent Russian voices, may indicate preparations for politically costly decisions.
Putin may be preparing for people from Moscow and St. Petersburg going to the front and bringing back corpses. Perhaps it's the end of the war in one form or another, or on the contrary, an escalation of the war. Then it would mean even greater mobilization for them.
Zelensky said the move suggests Russian authorities may be seeking to manage domestic backlash through tighter information control before announcing unpopular wartime measures.
I think it's to make unpopular decisions.
Until now, Russia's mobilization has disproportionately drawn manpower from poorer and more remote regions, while major urban centers like Moscow and St. Petersburg have largely avoided the direct burden of mass conscription. Zelensky said the coming weeks should reveal whether Putin is preparing for escalation or positioning for an eventual settlement. Speaking to journalists, he said,
"Soon we will see which scenario Putin has chosen."
The warning comes despite a rare temporary 32-hour Easter truce reportedly agreed between Moscow and Kyiv for Orthodox Easter weekend. Zelensky also claimed Russia continues to expand troop levels despite suffering heavy losses on the battlefield.
In a month, we destroy the same number of occupiers that they mobilize.
He added that Moscow is increasingly drawing from strategic reserves, weakening its military posture elsewhere. On battlefield objectives, Zelensky said Russian plans to capture Druzhkivka, Kostiantynivka, and Pokrovsk by the end of April are unrealistic. He said both Ukrainian and British intelligence assess Russia has little chance of meeting those goals within the stated timeframe. Zelensky's warning points to what Kyiv sees as a pivotal moment in the war, one where the Kremlin may soon have to choose between politically risky escalation at home or entering serious negotiations from a position of mounting battlefield and economic strain.